Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show, my weekly showcase of thought leadership in the Internet of Things. My name is Tom Raftery, I'm the Global IoT Evangelist for SAP, and now, on with the show. Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show. My name is Tom Raftery, VP IoT SAP, and with me on the show today I have special guest Tamara McCleary. Tamara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, no, this is really exciting. And I am Tamara McCleary. I'm the CEO of a agency called Thulium. And, we work with organizations like SAP on marketing and getting the message out there, especially on the vehicle of social media in the B2B space and ABM, so account-based marketing in B2B and enterprise.
Awesome. And we're on the IoT Hero Show because you are going to be speaking at our Leonardo Live event next week. Tamara, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be talking about machine learning specifically, and how machine learning is absolutely critical moving forward into the future to increase business productivity and efficiency. And I'm going to talk about some of the companies that are currently using machine learning. I will definitely talk about what machine learning is and what it's not, what's best suited for machine learning. And also, I can't resist projecting into the future because it's so delicious.
Awesome. Let's break into that a little bit because not everyone's going to be able to attend Leonardo Live. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, what is machine learning in your words?
Well, machine learning actually has been around a long time. But the way and the capacity that a machine can learn has changed as our computing power has exploded. And so with this technological explosion, we're able to do so much more. And so what machine learning is that if you imagine artificial intelligence, it's intelligence. And if you look at the human brain has neurons and synapses and neurotransmitters that actually act as communication within the brain to transmit information. And machine learning is actually very similar to that in that the machine has a neural network. So these neural networks share information and allow the machine, the AI, not necessarily a device, it's a program, it allows it to learn and adapt to information that it has to compare and associate patterns to. And so what's really exciting about machine learning is now that we have massive, boatloads of data, and now with the Internet of Things, we have so much information coming in that it's enabling machine learning to go beyond what it ever has before. And so as the machine is able to identify patterns and make judgments, essentially, on the information, it's able to then make decisions, essentially, based upon the patterns of information. A great example is now with visual recognition software with autonomous vehicles, right? So the reason the vehicle is autonomous is it has cameras and it's taking in all kinds of visual inputs. And so the neural network is recognizing patterns, and it's recognizing patterns to be, this is a red light, this is a stop sign, this is a car. And how it's making those decisions basically at the edge, right? It's at the vehicle making these decisions is through machine learning. And I don't know, I can get wildly excited about what's going on in the visual recognition area, but it also brings in really kind of some interesting discussion around security in the future because, with machine learning comes a whole different array of cybersecurity risks, right?
And privacy. The two things are very closely aligned, but also just the ability of machines to identify people as they're walking down the street or whatever has massive privacy implications.
Right. Right. And you know what's really kind of cool too, when you look at how the learning happens is, um, that the computer is essentially looking and learning that this object is a human being or this object is a dog. And instead of it being taught based upon, this has pointy ears, this has a long nose, it's being taught through images, through pixels. And it's very close to how, we as human beings learn, right? Yep. So yep. Our babies, our children learn simply by seeing over and over again a dog, and irrespective of breed, the child knows it's a dog. Yeah. So this is kind of cool too, how we're doing this with machine learning to identify through what massive amounts of data, pixels, and it's able to learn what these things are.
Yeah, and we've talked about autonomous vehicles and how important it is for them, but also that there are other applications for machine learning. I mean, we've seen AlphaGo take on the Go players and become the best Go player in the world. That's not hugely beneficial commercially, for example, but it was an incredible demonstration of the power of machine learning. What other interesting use cases have you seen?
Chatbots. That's a really interesting and easy business application, right? So when you look at productivity and efficiency, having a highly adaptable chatbot to handle, say, customer service issues is, I think, kind of exciting in that we're using machine learning to be able to have a conversation with a human being. And, the chatbot is so exquisite right now that many people don't even realize they're talking to a chatbot.
Yeah. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Some of them are really lame, though. I've had a couple of experiences.
We're not talking about lame here, right? Well, as with anything, really it is an investment in quality. And again, I think that with machine learning, your outcome is going to be directly correlated to the level of inputs that you've given the machine to be able to learn. So, it's data. Machine learning feeds on data, right? Yeah. That's what it has to have.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you talked about the connection to IoT, and that's an interesting one, obviously, because one of the, I won't say problems, but one of the challenges people can face with IoT is the massive amounts of data that are produced. But in this case, the amount of data produced is actually a good thing,
It's better.
Yeah. Any other, chatbots, we've talked about chatbots, we've talked about autonomous vehicles, but there are hundreds and hundreds of use cases. I think there's some amazing ones around even radiology and identifying things on x-rays and CAT scans and those kind of things. And I've seen lots of ones where just recognizing images on a screen, for example, allows people to just drop a picture in and it identifies it straight away, which can be useful in catalogs, which can be useful in trying to identify models or parts and things like that. Have you seen anything else that's interested you or piqued your curiosity?
You just tripped a switch in my mind that reminded me of I was at SAP Sapphire. And speaking of the visual identification, the SAP's at Brand Impact, it analyzes in real time video material.
That's right.
And I think that's extraordinary because, I'm a marketer and I'm a scientist turned marketer. So for me, marketing doesn't have value for me unless I can measure what it is that I'm spending on.
Right.
And with the SAP Brand Impact, what I found was really interesting is that you're able to actually measure how much exposure your brand, your logo, your message has received for your dollar, for your spend.
That's right.
So that's a very practical application, I believe. I also think machine learning is going to be exquisitely intertwined with something you touched upon, which is the smart home, smart city solution, energy and utilities, manufacturing. My mind goes wild with the applications because all of the things that we've just talked about have enormous amounts of data. It also has an enormous toll on an organization with respect to resources and time and people. And even the radiology example makes my mind go wild, coming from a clinical background myself, in that if you can imagine any one of us who ourselves or have a loved one who needs to have an early diagnosis, we're relying on the eyes of a human being, which can become tired. And I think that that's only going to augment the physician's ability to do early diagnosis and treatment, which in the end, I believe, saves lives. So I think it's so cool. I mean, it's limitless, the applications. But again, I think the thing that, businesses have to be mindful of, we all do in business, is focusing on one part of the business that we want to apply machine learning to and see it through to the end. Because machine learning, as with anything else, can become a shiny object.
Yeah.
And I've seen this happen over and over again with large organizations where they throw a lot of money at an initiative and then they don't see it through. They get distracted, like squirrel, something else shinier is popping up. And so the one thing I would caution senior executives is that when you look at how machine learning can be applied to your business, is pick one particular area, make it a strategic initiative, and see it through to the end. And, I do think that picking the right problem that has enough data to apply to machine learning is absolutely critical. And then just like with big data and analytics and trying to derive insight, we have to be absolutely crystal clear on what is the definition of success for us. So that we're asking of the data the right questions. Because as you know, the output is only as good as the input. And if we're not asking the right questions, then we aren't going to get any meaningful answers.
We've hinted at it, but we haven't said explicitly why the amount of data we give it is important.
Well, because if you think about it being like a brain, if it doesn't have enough data, then it can't learn. It can't identify the patterns that it needs to identify. Yeah. And with your example of a poorly done chatbot, is a chatbot done poorly just means a chatbot that hasn't learned. It's like a child talking at age 5 versus, 15. Yeah. It's had how much more exposure to dialogue and conversations, and it understands basically how to read the room.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's all about pattern recognition, as you say. Yeah. Cool. How hard is it to deploy, or what kind of challenges are organizations seeing, do you think?
That's a multifaceted question in the fact that there's a couple of things. First and foremost, because we've talked about how machine learning absolutely demands, lots of data. I think it's critical for an organization looking at deploying machine learning to harness the power of a very potent, robust platform. And, as I was saying, this isn't a commercial because you and I didn't have any previous conversation, but, anyone who's involved in the industry knows that SAP has quite a formidable platform for an organization to be able to build machine learning applications for their own organization. And the other piece to that pie, when you look at, okay, we want to deploy machine learning within our organization to increase efficiency and productivity, mission critical is picking the right thing that you want to do. And to ask yourself, do you have enough data for this? Is this something that's very complex, or do we see regular patterns? Is this something that we could teach, or have a machine learn? Do we know what the problem is? I find this really interesting, Tom. I don't know if you've run into this, but, I do an awful lot of consulting with organizations. And one of the main problems that I see when I initially go in is that they have not defined or identified with clarity what the problem is. No. So if we don't know what the problem is, how will we be able to define what the solution is? So we also need to know what is the measure of success. And start with one initiative within the organization. It reminds me of, how popular this whole thing with digital transformation has been. It's been so popular for so long. I don't think there's much meaning to that phrase, digital transformation, because I see organizations going, we need to digitally transform, we need to disrupt and be innovative, or we'll be disrupted, but yet you get back to the organization and you have absolutely no clue how this transformation is going to happen. So, I think it's about distilling it into its most simplistic parts and find one problem that you believe machine learning would be most advantageous to solve for you, and begin to build one solution and experience the success or the learning from that before you move to another solution.
Cool. That makes sense. Last question, because we're running out of time here. And you said at the start you were going to be talking about future use cases. So what is the future of machine learning? Where do you think it's all going to go to?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so to me, the future is incredibly bright. I think that the future of machine learning is going to make possible complete autonomous vehicles, because we absolutely have to have machines learning at the edge to make those quick decisions.
Yep.
In order for autonomous vehicles to work. I think that we will see a greater use of chatbots, not just for customer service, but being able to alleviate some of the more mundane types of maybe even HR duties that an organization spends an awful lot of time and human resources on. It's funny that we spend so much time in human resources on human resources, but we do. I think the next step too for machine learning currently we're at a place where it's just IQ, right? So it's just intelligence. But the one thing that we don't have right now is that EQ, right? That emotional quotient, that ability to discern beyond what just the data says. I think the reason why human beings work collaboratively best with machines is that we bring to the table that gut. And, you've never heard anyone going, oh, I wish I would have followed my head. No, what is it we always hear? We always hear people say, oh, I wish I would have followed my gut. So that intuitive piece that machines don't yet have, if I'm going to future cast way into the future, I believe that there will be a time where we are also able to teach machines how to have a bit of that intuition that we gain by essentially, I used this word before, or this phrase, reading the room.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've done so much work the past 17 years. My son has autism, and there are human beings who are born with challenges within that realm of reading a room, interpreting, what the person's facial expression is saying. They have a hard time dealing with, whether the person is angry, happy, sad, glad. And if we can teach kids, my son's now 17, and he's probably better at this now than people without, neurodiversity, because he's learned how, and he actually is far more adept at entering a conversation and exiting it than people who haven't been taught how to do that.
Wow.
So I think if we can teach children how to do that, we're teaching computers how to recognize pictures of dogs and cats. I think we can teach eventually machines to be much more emotive with us, even if it's something that the machine learns, because I've seen it demonstrated with human beings.
Oh, fascinating. Interesting, scary, challenging, all at the same time. Awesome.
It sounds like life to me. Interesting, scary, challenging.
True enough. Tamara, if people want to know more about you, apart from coming and seeing you at Leonardo Live, which everyone should do, how else can they follow you, get in touch with you, keep up with you?
Oh, I absolutely bloody love social media. So LinkedIn, Tamara McCleary, and Twitter is Tamara McCleary as well. And then our company site is thulium.co. And But yeah, let's connect on social media. I love having these conversations, as you know, Tom. So if anyone who wants to geek out on AI, machine learning, AR, VR, IoT in the future, let's talk.
Awesome. Awesome. Fabulous. Tamara, that's been fantastic. Thanks a million for coming on the show.
My pleasure. And I'll see you in Frankfurt.
Absolutely. 11th and 12th of July. We should have said this earlier.
Awesome. And if anyone's there, I'd love to see you come and hear my talk, and let's chat more about this.
Awesome. Great.